What's going on, guys and gals? Darth back, and we are in Queen's Blade Limit Break. And today we are going to be covering the brand new SP Warrior released today. And it's not just a brand new Warrior or a brand new SP Warrior. It is the first in the break/dual categories. They released the very first break attribute SP Warrior. It's been a long time coming, guys. If you take a look at the index, they've been sticking with the primary attributes of mind, physical, and skill. Mind has 2, physical has 2, solid warriors actually. Skill seems to be the love child of the developers right now, and I'm not going to mention any names, but it rhymes with fish. Is probably the reason. But all of these warriors are actually solid warriors in their own rights, no matter what anybody thinks about them. And we get our first break. It'll probably be another 5 or 6 years before we finally see a dual attribute warrior, but hey, that's the way, god damn it, that's the way the ball bounces, right? Well, there's a lot of questions to answer here, so let's just get into it. Is she worth it? Should she be pulled for? What the hell does she do? There's a lot of anticipation and high hopes for this warrior for several reasons. One, again, being because it's the very first break attribute, and everybody was kind of clamoring and wondering to see what she was going to bring to the table. And generally, SP warriors do bring a little bit extra oomph in various ways to the table. We're going to take a look at whether or not she's worth it. More importantly, we're going to take a look at whether or not she can change the PvP meta. But first, I want to just get a few things out of the way. First, I am still sick, so I apologize for the voice. I hope that this is clear and everybody can hear me. Second, no matter what recommendation and information I provide you, take it with a grain of salt, make your own decisions, and ultimately you are responsible to yourself for what you do and don't do. But my job is to be unbiased to a certain degree, or the degree that I can, and I'm going to give you accurate information as to the value of a warrior. Whether or not any warrior is going to change a meta, a PvP, PvE meta, is relevant but irrelevant in whether or not you should still have it, whether or not a warrior has value and what that value is. Now, with that out of the way, let's dive right in, because I am kind of excited and I'm not really sure why. So my initial reactions is I was underwhelmed, confused, and a little mad. Has my opinion changed? Well, let's take a look at her. First and foremost, under the arrival summon, it's going to cost you 120 summons before you hit the pity system. A lot of people were worried that this was going to go far. No, we all kind of anticipated 120. All right, this is about where we thought it was going to go. Normal break and duel is 100, and generally there's a 20 increase on SP Warrior. So falls right in line, right? There you go. Cool animations, great artwork. I really like it. An outfit like this with war gauntlets, classic, priceless. Although the spicy pose here does take the cake. I mean, this is very nice. I'm not even going to touch on how happy that frog is right now, but how long his tongue is hanging out should be a very, very good indication of all of that. Now, let's go in and take a look at the warrior skills, because this is where most of the information is going to be gleaned for that I'm going to provide you in terms of benefit, value, and analysis. Keep in mind, I have completed all the warrior trials, and I will tell you right now that completing the warrior trials excuse me, gave me valuable information, but it was not the team setup that I wanted to see or test her at. You're going to see why here in a moment. So let's go take a look at the actual warrior. Let's pump up her skills just a little bit and take a look at it. So let's get the first thing out of the way first. Her name is Summoner Aldra. Don't know anything about the manga or anime, but man, she is not a summoner. When they were marketed it, was it just me, or did they kind of market her as a person who was going to summon pets? Or was that just something that I imagined? I don't know. Anyways, that's the first issue I have with her. Let's take a look at her tooltip. First, she's a support character. You're going to see why. Damage spread, heal, attack up is her general speciality. damage spread, heal, attack up. Keep damage spread in mind. Let's look at her innate passives. As a SP warrior, she's going to get attack plus 50%, HP plus 30%, and speed 30. As a support, I thought that would have been backwards. HP higher, attack on the lower end, although the value should be 5% more than a standard warrior of 45% and 25% respectively. I think as a support, she probably should have been the other way around. And you'll kind of see why here in just a second. But her first ability is what really gets people excited, or should get people excited. Summon Beast, Dogre. Again, she's not summoning anybody. Removes all debuffs from 4 allies with the highest attack. She grants attack plus 15% and crit rate plus 10%. If the target is a warrior, she grants 20% crit rate. Very, very cool. Now I'm going to leave this ability alone. We're going to come back and touch on that. Go to the third ability here. Magic damage resistance plus 20% to all allies, and grants 1 mind different body to all allies for 2 turns. The effect cannot be removed. When the effect disappears, she heals all allies for 98%. So she's not a traditional healer. She's going to heal after an effect expires. What is the effect? Well, first she's going to grant damage resistance. Do not discount damage resistance, guys. Damage resistance is almost on par with increasing your damage to some degree. When you increase your damage, you're increasing your damage potential. Like if it increases 10% attack, that attack is actually based on your base primary attributes. 20% damage resistance is actually 20% damage resistance. That's damage reduction. Take that with a grain of salt. But she's only reducing magic damage, not physical damage. So she's actually going to reduce mage's attack, because if you don't know, mages are generally magic user attackers, and they're AoE attackers. And then she'll heal. Now, 1 mind, 1 body. What this does is deals damage to all allies with the status. You did not read that wrong. I had to read that a few times, and it took me a while to figure out what it was actually doing, and then I read damage spread. She is going to make it so that when an ally gets hit, she's going to divide that damage. Anybody with this status effect, the damage is going to be divided amongst them. So a 5k hit is actually going to be reduced. It's actually a damage reduction effect when you think about it, because you're not going to be hit by the full amount. She's going to spread the damage amongst everybody, which in this case all allies who have the status effect, for 2 turns. 20% magic damage resistance and damage spread, which reduces the amount of damage. Now what that's going to do is that's going to help kind of alleviate focus damage, if you will. Not that focus damage is always a problem, but it can be dependent upon a few factors. So there's that. Then you have a third ability, which I'm very, very much lackluster about, and I think really, really needs to be changed for an SP warrior. Upon death, she heals for 240% of her attack to all allies. Can be triggered once. Big flipping deal. If you get to a point where later on in the fight, and generally it happens later on in the fight, this ability is completely useless, because healing for 240% at a time when this needs to actually trigger is going to be almost pointless in about 98% of the cases. Now, if this healed your allies for up to 700 to 800% of the attack, because remember, health pools should be high in PvP encounters anyways. 240% of an attack is nothing. And when you get to a point where you're going to die, and typically your supports don't always die first anyways, this ability can be useless in so many encounters. Needs to be updated. This is simply lackluster for an SP warrior. So now let's circle back to the first ability, because I was actually very mad and gave him a negative review upon my first look. Removes all debuffs from 4 allies with the highest attack. Okay. The second part is increasing attack crit rate. Okay, that's pretty standard for a support buff warrior. The problem is the cooldown is not. 4-turn cooldown on a 15% attack and crit rate increase. when the only other thing she does really is damage spread, which is a key ability, but it's not usable in a lot of scenarios. I mean, I can come up with 4 different scenarios right now in team comps that actually would be amazing, but that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is these 2 abilities right here. This first one is very powerful, and I'm going to take target at the fish, removes all debuffs. We finally actually got a team cleanser in the game, guys, right here. Removes all debuffs from 4 allies with the highest attack. We may have another team cleanser in the game. I don't really remember because I'm on medication and antibiotics. What this means is that she'll remove all removable debuffs. So unless a tooltip says cannot be removed, she'll remove it, including the fish's charm. That's right. She is actually a counter to the fish. We'll touch on that here in just a second, but this is a powerful ability. What I have a problem with is the cooldown and the timing. Increasing attack and crit rate, this is generally on a 2-turn cooldown in order to maintain her role as a support buff. What needs to happen is this needs to be separated. This attack and crit rate needs to be adjusted just a little bit, because keep in mind, these are flat stats. This is not better, first of all, than the Witch of Allure. I would prefer the Witch of Allure because there's other ways to increase attack. You could put the Easter Bunny in there and she'll increase your team's attack by what, 12%? And that's irremovable, by the way. I think this is a bit lackluster for an SP warrior to have these 2 on the same deal. This needs to be on a 2-turn cooldown to maintain the similar abilities on other warriors. This removes all buffs needs to be moved to this 3rd ability here and added on top, and it needs one of 2 things needs to happen. This remove debuff should not be on a, it's very powerful, and powerful buffs or debuffs are generally on a 4-turn cooldown, except for, I don't know, the fish. Why such a powerful ability on an A1 has a 2-turn cooldown and a 2-turn refresh rate is beyond me, and that's my problem with the fish in a nutshell. But here, removes all debuffs. So here's the scenario. Fish comes in on the initial turn, enemy team goes, she charms you. If you speed tune this warrior here to be your first person on your team, she'll remove that buff immediately. I did not say that wrong. That is 100% accurate. And yes, you should be excited about that. That is a very exciting item. But to the person who's going to sit there, and I know several people are already trying to disprove me, and there's a reason for that. Yeah, but Kicker, she's on a 2-turn cooldown and can refresh it every 2 turns. Yeah. And at the top of that second time, when she goes in and charms you, you may get 1 attack on your own team off. But she's going to come back in and she's going to remove it again. What needs to happen is I would like to, in order for her to be a true SP warrior and worthy of getting excited about, this needs to be reduced to a 3-turn cooldown on this debuff. And it will be a direct battle between her and the fish for supremacy in PvP on countering each other. I guarantee you guys. Doesn't matter how you argue that. Even if you do the math, she still cleanses that debuff. Now, let's say that you go first. Some people may be like, well, what if you go first? Doesn't matter. She goes in and triggers removing the debuff first, which meaning you don't want her to be faster than your fish. The fish comes in and charms you anyways. You still get 1 attack off, but then you're just reversing the count. You're going to go through, and the next time the fish charms you, you're going to remove it anyways. Trust me, guys, it works. She will remove the fish's charm before you even attack if you speed tune this warrior here to go first before your team. The problem is the rest of her kit is lackluster to some degree. I can't see her replacing certain people on a PvP team. Not even Mphilia, who increases the immobilization rate of her allies, which is one of the other reasons she's so worried. Bottom line, guys, she's an awesome warrior in my own opinion for the reasons I said. Again, I think that people are going to overlook this, and I think that people in Discord are going to try and dissuade people from actually pulling and maxing her out at 10 stars because they don't want you removing the fish's charm. Most people who win these PvP battles are winning because you're killing yourself because of that charm. I personally am going to pull for her. To the extent that I pull for her, I do not know. There's other things that, now as far as the healing and stuff like that, I don't think that she's a great healer, but what they're banking on is the fact that this damage spread will make up for that. You're reducing the amount of damage taken as a whole, and then healing by 98 plus whatever your heal bonus is should make up for that. Overall, I think she's a solid warrior, and I think we have a direct help. I think we have help towards the fish, and I think that these two are going to go head to head. Do I think that she's going to change the PvP meta? Yes, I think she could if people would just get on board and understand what I'm saying. Does this mean that you're going to win more battles in PvP? Yes, it does. Does it mean you're going to win all of them? No. That's not what I'm saying, because of the way RNG and turn counters work, but I think that you are going to be charmed far less if you use this warrior. I guarantee it. Let me know what you think in the comment section, guys, both on the appearance, the spicy, her overall kit, and specifically, what do you think about this? I don't log into Discord because I don't believe half of what they say, and I think that they are going to try to dissuade you from using her. Are you going to pull for her, guys? What are you going to do? Let me know in the comment section. Let's get some conversation going, guys. That's my overview of the new first SP Break Warrior, and I'll see you in the next one.